Hey, what's up, Street Talks? It's Eric from the Eric Street Photography blog. So I wanted to share with you some spirited thoughts on this notion of how to become stronger. So I think this is actually a very important thing because it's funny, we use this term empowerment so much, and honestly it's kind of become this like little fluffy buzzword at the point. But in fact, empowerment means to become more powerful. Now, I think the reason why people don't like the notion of power is that people always think that power needs to be begotten at the expense of someone else. And I don't necessarily think that's true. So for example, if you want to build physical power, and if I want to deadlift more weight, or my muscles to get bigger, whatever, I am not dependent on sucking away the power of somebody else, right? And also when it comes to self-confidence, you don't need to tear down the confidence of other people in order for you to build your own self-confidence. It's something that can be done independently from other people. Now, I've kind of mentioned this in the past too, but I generally do think that society as a whole would benefit if more people were selfish. And when I say selfish, I mean to say self-focused, self-interested, and kind of like Zen, more like kind of think of it like a Zen thing where you don't worry so much about comparing yourself with other people and interacting or, competing with other people. You're still obviously a friendly person, whatever, but you don't make your own self-ego dependent on other people. So for example, a lot of people tend to get more self-ego when they're getting more likes on Instagram, or when they make more money, or when they get a promotion, whatever. And these things are all at the dependence of other people giving you some sort of social approval. Now, I don't think this is very robust because it means that you're always going to be dependent on other people. And I think independence quite literally means to be able to depend on yourself. And if you're independent, you depend on yourself, that means all your successes, all your failures, your whole life just depends only on you, which I think is generally a good thing. Now, this is not to say that, all of the successes we gain in life are our own accord. No, of course we have a lot to thank to our teachers, to the government, to our mentors, our guides, our friends, our family, whatever. There's so many people that we should be grateful towards, and having a sense of gratitude, I think, is actually a very important virtue. Now, what I encourage all of us though is, if we want to become more powerful, we need to become more selfish and more self-centered into ourselves, focusing on ourselves to augment our own strength. And how do we become stronger? So this is just the basic idea I have. Two things. The first thing is this: do more or consume more of what makes you feel more powerful, and do less of and consume less of what makes you feel weaker or not good. So for example, this is just an example. This is so random. I think the other day, I know I'm pretty lactose intolerant, but I ate some cheese anyways, and the whole day I actually felt weaker, and I think I had like a bowl of oatmeal or something like that, and as a consequence, the whole day I felt weaker. I didn't feel as energetic, I didn't feel as peppy. And now, this is not to say that other people shouldn't eat dairy or carbs or whatever, but it just didn't make me feel good. And so if I want to become stronger, obviously I should not consume foods which make me weaker. For example, I should not be eating carbs, because after eating a lot of carbs, I get super sleepy and I cannot be productive for the rest of the day. And also, I should not be eating dairy because I get stomach aches, and as a consequence, my body is weaker and I have less power to do whatever I really want to do. And I think this is actually a good way of thinking about it. It's like, what makes me stronger makes me weaker, because I think if you want to change our own behavior, or even try to like get other people to change their behavior, rather than saying, oh, this is good for you, that's bad for you, right? It's better for us to say, this will make you stronger and this will make you weaker. So, and I think this is actually a funny thing, is I got this quote from like Nietzsche. I forget which book he says in it, but if you ask a school child, hey, do you want to be more virtuous than the rest of your friends? The kid will just like roll his eyes, right? But if you tell the kid, do you want to become stronger than all your friends? Then his eyes will be kind of like, well, actually more likely to pay attention. And so I'll make the assertion that I think everyone in life wants to feel more powerful, and no one in life wants to become weaker. So perhaps with all of the decisions we make, the people we interact with, the music, the media we consume, we should just create it into a binary. Does this make me more powerful? doesn't make me weaker. And if it's something that's indifferent, like something in the center, then perhaps we should just ignore it or not just really pay much mind to it. And when I say things we consume, it's not just food or drinks or whatever. It's also media. It's the type of media, like whether it be books, audiobooks, podcasts, poetry, whatever it may be. All these things change how we feel. And this is actually why I really like music with more upbeat tempo as well as like heavier bass, is that I heard that hearing bass in a song is almost like hearing the thumping of the heartbeat. So a song with a heavy bass line will actually stimulate us and actually will cause our hearts to beat faster. And the faster our hearts beat, generally we have stronger feelings of power. And then there's also types of movies and media and books and stuff that tends to generally kind of depress us. And I feel like this kind of media is not good because it makes us feel weaker. It makes us feel more meek, and this puts us kind of in a shitty mood. Like, I think I forget which movie. I think it was like a Dennis Hoffman movie I watched, and at the end of the movie, it was just like a very depressing movie. And at the end of the movie, I was just like, it put me in a depressed mood for almost like the next day and a half. So I'm like, man, I'm never going to watch depressing movies ever again. Or who knows, maybe sometimes you watch depressing movies and actually it makes you more grateful for your life. But anyways, it's what works for me isn't going to work for you, and what works for you isn't going to work for me. So throughout all of this, what we should be striving for is self-knowledge. So that's the first part. The second part is we should avoid things or people or ideas or media, whatever, that weakens us. So for example, I hate it when other people complain. I hate it when other people are petty. And this kind of negative energy just kind of saps away my own power. Because obviously if I overhear someone saying something petty or doing something stupid, whether I like it or not, it's going to waste a little bit of my brain power and my energy. Because that's going to either make me feel annoyed, or it's going to be give me some sort of like cognitive dissonance. I'm like, oh, I don't agree with that. Or it'll actually end up making me feel like, oh, like make me start to judge that person. And I don't think we could really control whether we judge people or not just in our heads. But certainly you don't want to expose yourself in a situation where you even want to start judging someone, because it's just kind of not a practical use of your own energy. And I think if you want to become stronger, be ruthless and cut away the people from your life who essentially make you feel weaker, who make you feel more shitty or depressed, or people who discourage you. I mean, even one thing that I did was, in my personal life, my dad was like the ultimate like negativity cloud, whatever, and I just cut him out of my life cold turkey. And I've been like a trillion times happier ever since. And this is also a good way with social relations, just to judge it, is that after you have a social interaction with somebody, just see how you feel. Do you feel more uplifted, happy, joyful, energetic, positive, motivated? Or after meeting or interacting with a person, do you feel kind of more depressed, negative, meek, discouraged, or whatever? And I think most people, you could actually categorize these into two categories. All the people who make you, often this is actually like these negative people. Who knows? It could be, your family members. It could be like coworkers or quote friends or acquaintances. And generally speaking, people say that, oh, you're not allowed to cut family members out of your life. I think if these people are causing you just kind of like negativity and they're sucking away your energy, yeah, dude, for sure, you could cut them out. I think that's totally legitimate. And I mean, hopefully you're in a positive relationship, like a romantic relationship with other person, but who knows, if that person is super abusive or negative or isn't good for you, then perhaps it's best to either separate or divorce or whatever it may be. I know even for myself, after my mom finally left my dad, she was like a trillion times happier. And so I would actually encourage, probably more people should get divorced if the relationship is toxic. So that means getting rid of toxic people, getting rid of toxic ideas. Like if your doctor told you, oh, stop eating salmon because your mercury levels are like at 1 trillion parts per something, and it's causing you toxicity, of course you would stop eating the salmon even though it tasted really delicious. So just realize that also the news, I think, and generally the media, anything in advertisements, television, I think it's all toxic. It kind of gives us a very negative view of the world. And I know certainly after watching TV for like even a minute, and I never watch TV on purpose, it's always like at the gym or in random public places. It always, and I see like CNN or some stupid news on the thing, it always makes me feel kind of more negative, and it actually makes me feel like angrier or sometimes more anxious or a little bit more depressed or a little bit less motivated. And that's the way the media works, is that they prey on all of our base desires and our fears and our, our sensitivity to the random, to the sensationalist, whatever. And it's all used to hijack our attention and our eyeballs in order for us to click on more advertisements or watch more advertisements, whatever it may be. But anyways, so just kind of realize in life, your life is short. I think a simple aim in life is to seek to become as powerful as you can while you're still alive. And obviously on the road to becoming more powerful, you bring other people with you, right? You want to put other people on your spaceship to also empower them. And I don't think it's necessarily your duty to empower everyone in the world, and it's not your duty really to save everyone. I think if you could empower at least one other human being on planet Earth while you're still alive, I think you've kind of done your job. Or if somehow the books, the information, the videos you created will empower future generations of people, then I think you've kind of done your job. And also, probably the most effective way to become stronger is to cut away negative people, cut away toxic people, cut away toxic ideas, media, stuff that you feel like is not good for you. And realize that there's no ultimate right or wrong or good or bad or evil, or there's no ultimate virtuous, non-virtuous, viceful. All of your morals and ethics and whatever you feel like makes you stronger or weaker, don't ask other people or don't read books on this. Just kind of ask yourself, is like, does this thing make me weaker? Does it make me stronger? Like, for example, like, I think this is actually an interesting thing with weed, is that like growing up, I didn't smoke any weed, even though all my friends in the Bay Area did. And the reason is I just saw all my friends who started smoking weed. They just got super lazy and unambitious. And I was not lazy. I was like a hustler, and I was very ambitious. So I just didn't touch that stuff because I knew it would actually make me weaker. But now there's actually other people out there like Sci-Hi, the Prince, and a lot of rappers who smoke weed, and it makes them more creative or more productive. Then I'm like, okay, if that works for you, that's cool, totally cool too. So I almost feel like even all drugs, alcohol, substances, whatever, just ask yourself, is this thing actually making me stronger or empowering me, or is it making me weaker or more disempowered? So if you're the type of person that you're only smoking weed and it just makes you kind of like lazy and unmotivated in life and just makes you more depressed, then that's probably not a good thing. But if you're somebody who smokes weed and like it makes you more creative, productive, and happier, then, by all means, smoke those trees, right? So yeah, just to kind of wrap up this video, just think about doing more of what empowers you, makes you stronger, and do less of what disempowers you, makes you weaker. So yeah, just feel free to think about this, leave a comment below, think about what in your life is empowering you, what are some things that you could do today in your life to make you feel stronger, what are things you could cut away from your life, and always remember that at the end of the day, you're the boss. Peace out.